We are now around about 10 weeks worth of music releases into 2025 so far, so it felt like a good time to create a tier list and rank the albums that I think are worth ranking from worst to best. There are 30 albums in this particular tier list. There are many that you will recognize, and there may be a couple that are a little bit more under the radar, and yeah, I thought it'd be a good idea to put them in a tier list, offering you guys some new recommendations and some opinions on the year's music so far. It's starting to kick into gear a little bit, but I do feel as though it's not been quite as explosive just yet. But, you know, we're getting there. We're getting there. We are getting there. I feel it. I feel it tingling. I feel it coming. So here we go. Without further ado, let's rank these albums. I do feel like there will be some stinkers for you guys. You guys get very vicious in the comments when I do these videos, by the way. I'm just saying it. I just feel as though there'll be some very unsavory, unwelcomed opinions coming my way with these here. They're mostly agreeable, but there's just a few that I'm not looking forward to talking about. Because a lot of these albums I haven't spoken about on this channel yet. I have done reviews for a few of them, but yeah, I'm just not sure. Just be kind. Just be nice. All right. And if you do like what I do, and you don't hate my opinions, you can consider supporting me on Patreon or on the membership page as well, keeping this channel going, keeping these videos coming as consistently as they are. So click the links in the description, and obviously as well, if you want to create your own tier list, click that link in the description box too, and send it my way over on Twitter, Instagram, wherever you follow me on, Blue Sky if you want, wherever. And yeah, enjoy making your tier list, enjoy my video. Let's get on with it. Kicking things off then with a nice introduction, actually, because we do have this Anxious album here, an album that I haven't really seen a huge amount of talk on, but I am really liking it. I think it's one of the best of the year so far, and yeah, super underrated, super under the radar, and it's sad to see. I do feel maybe I've got a tad little bit of nostalgic bias, maybe a tad bit, because this kind of does remind me of some of those, you know, Kerrang emo rock pop groups from the 2000s that I used to really like. But when I say a tad bit, I don't think it's a huge amount of nostalgia, because I actually don't listen to a lot of that anymore anyway. So it's not like I'm holding on to that time and listening to it on a regular basis. I just don't think a lot of those bands have aged all that well. So I'm actually very impressed that they've managed to bring that nostalgic feeling out of me while also maintaining just a really high quality album. So yeah, I've really loved this one. The choruses are just super anthemic, super infectious. The instrumental Soar, Counting Sheep is just an absolute banger, honestly. So many great tracks on here. The lyrics don't, you know, go over the top. It's kind of just nicely put together. The vocals don't get annoying. Like, it's just really, really well done in this style of music. I thought their debut was really good as well, but I think they've one-upped themselves on their sophomore album. So yeah, this for me is going in excellent. I think Anxious have really delivered here, and yeah, the album's called Bambi, by the way, so definitely check out the band Anxious, because yeah, I thought that was pretty damn great. Bad Bunny, man. Bad Bunny in the bad tier. Bad for bad. No, I'm joking. Bad Bunny actually really delivered on this album. I think the core, like, Latin influence coming from, like, the classic traditional sounds really amplified his talents, honestly, because I've always liked Bad Bunny. I've always thought he was really good for a banger here and there. There has been some really high quality albums. They've just always ran on a little bit long for me. It feels like he's kind of gaming the streaming era system a little bit by piling on so many songs and so many features that, you know, kind of feel like they overtake the songs sometimes. But this album, there was only, what, like 3 or 4 features or something like that, maybe 5 at the most. They really heightened the songs as well. They added a lot of flair to the tracks. The songs are just so summery, fun. Yeah, man, I thought this was really good. Like, again, ran on maybe a tad too long just for what it was trying to go for. But I'm landing this one in very good. I really liked it. I thought Bad Bunny yeah, really brought out some of his best ever songs on this one. So very impressed with that one. Next, we've got Bartees Strange. Bartees Strange with Horror. I've been championing Bartees Strange on this channel since really 2020 when his first album came out. And yeah, each album has had like 2 songs that are absolutely like best of the year type of songs. I've even got Mulholland Drive as one of my favourite songs of the decade so far. That was from his last album. So that's how highly I do think this guy is in terms of talent. But I always felt like his albums didn't quite get there. But thankfully, this album got there for me. I thought this was great. I thought the combination of some of like the rock and the soul and the influences coming from different areas just kind of added this really cool, nice addition to his overall sound. He still gave you those indie rock rages that was super fun and again a little bit like Anxious, very anthemic, very sing-alongy, but also kind of brought in these new elements to it as well. So I was very impressed with this Bartees Strange album. Again, we're going to go excellent for this one. I think it's slightly better than Bambi as well. So yeah, kind of championing the rock this year. I feel like there's been some really strong rock albums in 2025 so far. So these 2 are great examples of it as well. Again, really sad to see like no other like fellow YouTube reviewers really talk about these albums or really see them get publication hype. I think Bartees Strange got a little bit of hype from NME. I don't really read NME though, so it's like, not really that's something I'm particularly that bothered about. But yeah, just a bit of a shame really. I feel like they're deserving more. But again, like I've been kind of surprised at these 2 albums this year. Really, they've kind of took me off guard and not really expected to love them as much as I did. So yeah, very impressed with those. Ironically, I do have the odd naysayer in my comments popping up saying that I don't like anything other than pop or hip-hop music as well. But honestly, I don't know where that narrative's come from, because if you actually kept up with all of my videos, which is fine if you don't, but if you kept up with all of them, you'd know that I was raving about these 2 rock albums upon release, and there's always a bunch of rock albums on my year-end lists as well. So yeah, again, I think rock has kind of been shining this year. There's been a few good post-punk albums that I didn't include on this tier list actually, that were really good as well. That Ditz album I thought was really good. So yeah, so pretty decent start to the year for rock. Not great for hip-hop though, generally actually. Hip-hop, ironically again, is not having a great start to 2025. Kendrick's kind of carrying the flag a little bit because of his GNX album is still getting a lot of streams and boosts in the charts. But that's from last year. But yeah, Central C carrying the flag for UK rappers, and good God, it's sad to see that that's the case. Hopefully Little Sim saves us in a few months, because it ain't looking good out here. It's not looking good, bruv. Like this is bad, man. Like I thought that maybe I was going to get into it a little bit more, because he's kind of focusing on just kind of like rapping on this album, and a lot of his like smash hits, his more viral songs have just kind of been relying on a gimmick of like a sample or a like one-liners that are kind of like controversial or silly or people find to be funny, and it kind of carries the songs. You know the songs I'm talking about if you know who Central C is. But yeah, this album didn't really do that, and yet it kind of highlighted that he just isn't very good at rapping. Like his flows and stuff are fine. Like he's fine, he sounds fine, but his voice is really monotonous. He kind of ends the each line with the kind of same tone, and it kind of just runs on, and just nothing ever really stands out. The hooks weren't really there either, and then you actually dive into the bars, the actual lyrics, and I was just shocked to see so many like hip-hop Twitter accounts like gassing this album up. You've got to kind of be very, very skeptical on Twitter sometimes, because I do genuinely think a lot of these accounts get paid to promote stuff, because honestly, like some of the things I was seeing people say about this album was just crazy. Like these bars are really not good across these songs, man. Like if you're going to focus more on your rapping on an album, you got to deliver on that department. And if you're not going to focus on that and you're going to give more catchy pop rap songs that aren't necessarily about the lyrics, then make them fun and enjoyable as well. And I personally don't think he can do either. I think he's one of the worst rappers coming out at the moment, and particularly flying the UK flag is sad to see somebody this weak being at the top of the pyramid. It's sad to see, man. Dark Side, very impressed with this Dark Side album. I just think Nicolas Jaar continues to show us that he's one of the GOATs. He's one of the GOATs. Obviously, it's a duo, so, you know, not taking away from the quality of both their brains coming together, obviously. But I just think Nicolas Jaar has kind of shown us in a solo capacity how good he is. And yeah, man, some of these tracks, SNC has that, like, funkiness to it, which I really like. Some of the other tracks just have these, like, otherworldly instrumentals that are really hard to kind of, like, pinpoint. I do think some people may be a little bit, like, put off by its kind of weirdness, but God, I was really taken aback by it. I haven't done an actual video on the channel yet because I've only listened to the album a couple of times, but those couple of listens have been pretty damn excellent, so I'm going to definitely put it in the excellent tier. I think it's a very, very, very strong album from this year, and maybe again another one that doesn't quite get the attention that it truly deserves. But if you've never listened to, like, any Nicolas Jaar solo stuff as well, please do. Okay, I reviewed this already. Drake and PartyNextDoor. It's bad. Like, it's actually below bad, to be honest. This is I have done 4 albums in 2025 as of recording this video. I know you're probably thinking, bloody hell, how have you done that many? But I will say that, you know, in my spare time, I do tend to just listen to music if I'm just not with friends or my girlfriend or anything like that. I am basically just listening to music. So that is how I'm doing it in between work and socializing and, you know, family time and that kind of thing. I just listen to a lot of music. I've done pretty much all of those albums, near enough, more than once as well. And yeah, this Drake and PartyNextDoor album, just to summarize, is the worst album I've heard so far this year. Of all those albums, it's the worst. And this is not an anti-Drake thing. This is not a pro-Kendrick thing. This has got nothing to do with any of that. But Drake has been on an absolute downward spiral for about 5 or 6, maybe 7 years. Like, this guy has not been putting out good music for a long time. And this kind of was the cream, I guess the cherry on top of it all, if you will. This kind of shows that Drake is completely void of anything new now. This is not even remotely sexy. It's not even a nice R&B vibe. PartyNextDoor offers very little in terms of anything adding to these songs. Like, this was just straight up bad. And again, with the frigging long albums, he has to do these long albums because I think if you looked at the overall core numbers of what his sales were, they would drop a lot if he dropped a 10-track album, man. Like, they would. I think the reason he has to do 23 songs is because there's no way he can keep up those numbers if he doesn't. He has to pile on these insane track lists that don't need to be an hour and bloody whatever minutes it was. Nobody needed it that long. And even the songs that have gone a bit viral, like Give Me a Hug, again, no good bars in that track at all. Like, people talking about how he's rapping. Where are the good lyrics? They're not there. Nokia is kind of fun, but again, like, it doesn't kind of feel like a song that I want to return to that often. I feel like the whole Stacy, Keisha is just really cringe. It feels like he's trying to win the women back with that one. As it worked, maybe a little bit, but yeah, Drake's just not offering anything on this album that's worth my time or your time. Really bad lyrics, really sleazy attitudes towards girls across this thing as well. He's just not beating the allegations, and he's not beating the allegations about how his music is just really not that good anymore, man. It's just bad. It's really bad. Alright, Eusexual by FKA Twigs next. I will say, like, I feel as though it did feel like we could have got more from this album. I think the trance dance aspects of it were really interesting. It was cool to see her, you know, take the sound in a different direction compared to her other stuff. But something kind of felt like it wasn't quite all coming together. It just felt like the spark wasn't fully there. And I just think, before it came out, listening to those singles, I was like, yeah, this is straight up going to be one of the best of the year. and it just really hasn't felt that way. It's kind of landed more like in the very good department. Like, it's a really good album, but I don't know, man, just something just didn't click. Something didn't really hit the spot in the way that I thought it was going to. So yeah, I still really like it. I don't want to speak about it negatively, because I do probably sound like I'm saying it's more weaker than it actually is. But no, I do think it's really good. It just didn't capture that essence, I don't think, in the way that it should have. Like, this should definitely be at least in the excellent tier, without a doubt. And like I say, it should have easily been an album of the year contender, but something just didn't click. Some of the tracks just didn't really feel like they were that great. That one where she's talking about being a dog or whatever it is, being your dog, it's just like, I don't want to listen to this. Yeah, I don't know, something just wasn't quite there. But I still think it's very good. I still think FKA Twigs is a great artist. And of course, I did do the top 10 songs for her recently, so that kind of shows how good I think she is as well. So yeah, Honningbana, I'm so glad to see this one getting hyped, man. I raved about this album, the band, in what was it, 2023? Their first album, put it on my year-end list. Look at you guys now. Suddenly out of nowhere, picking up on these guys. So yeah, I'm just saying. I told you guys they were really good. It's really punk, hardcore energy. It's blistering sound. It's at times just is like blowing your bloody socks off. It's like, oh my days, what are they doing here? It's so loud, it's so visceral, but it's so good. I love these guys. So cool to see again. There's a bit more hype for them now. So yeah, Honningbana, very, very impressed there. Ichiko Aoba. Here's the thing with Ichiko, right? Like, it's coming... It's getting to a point. It comes a time where you just look at the catalogue and you think, okay, this is brilliant stuff. But you kind of keep giving us the same thing. You kind of keep hitting the same notes. You kind of keep delivering on the same expectations each time. And it's just a little mild. That's all I'm saying. Like, it's just a little mild. It's not that I think it's bad. It's not that I think it's, a weak album or anything like that. I think it's a good album. But I just feel as though it didn't really hit that spot. And to see, it topped the Rate Your Music chart and immediately with like a 3.9 rating or whatever it was, I'm just kind of a bit baffled, because it's like, she's done this before. She's done this before, and it's been like, up here. That's the quality that she delivers on. And this one was just fine. It's just alright. It's okay. It's a bit mild. It's a bit samey. It's a bit safe. I just think, Windswept Aiden, was an album that felt like it kind of took a sound in a slightly different direction, but was still similar. Like, it had a mystical whimsy to it, which I really liked. And it kind of had similar, of those folky acoustic vibes from her previous stuff, like from QP and things. But yeah, it just slightly elevated it. And I just don't know now. I feel like this one just ever so slightly too samey. Right, we've got Jenny and we've got Lisa pretty close together. I'll just put them, together and talk about them at the same time, because these are two K-pop girlies that came from Blackpink. We've seen all of the Blackpink members now basically have their, their own like solo moments. Rosé had easily the biggest song out of any of them really last year, and it's still big now with Aperture. And now these two, within a week of each other, have dropped their albums. And I'm keeping them in meh, to be honest with you, to kind of summarize it, to kind of keep it real with you guys. I'm not really here for this. I can't believe how much hate that writer got as well for that Pitchfork review. I can't remember his name. It's Joshua something. I do follow him on Twitter. Check out the Pitchfork review. It's a pretty lethal review, actually. And the score is like a 5.2 or something, so the score isn't even that negative, but he got a lot of hate for that review, which is crazy. K-pop stans do be going crazy, and I don't mind a bit of that coming my way. I will fight you guys to the death with my sword. No, I don't know what I'm talking about. No, I will. I don't mind getting any heat for this, because I just don't really care. Like, you can't tell me these albums are great, man. Like, I'm sorry, what are you talking about? And the thing is like, with Blackpink, let's be very honest, guys. They gave us very little as a group. They showed very little talent as a group. Of course, now they've all gone solo, there still isn't that much talent. Like, what kind of shocker are we talking about here? This isn't a surprise. This isn't shocking. Like, they weren't even that good as a group. Like, now they're solo. This is not surprising to me. There's like some decent moments on each album. I'll say that. The Dua Lipa feature, I guess, is fine on the Jenny album. I think the Ray feature on the Lisa album is okay as well. That track, actually, Doja Cat's on there too. That's probably the best track out of both the albums, but even that one felt like just a Jessie Ware song to me. Like, it wasn't anything special. Like, it's just fine. They're just making really lowest common denominator pop. I don't know, I don't see it, man. I don't. Lady Gaga now. So Lady Gaga, I feel, I'm conflicted on this one. I've given it 2 listens now. The first listen I was very underwhelmed. The second listen I started to see a little bit of the vision. I was okay with some of the tracks a little bit more. But my thing with Lady Gaga now is like the aesthetics drive the music so heavily. And there's this kind of like really high artistic vision that comes along with the visuals and the way she, looks, and the videos and the way the songs are presented in this kind of like quirky way that kind of makes you feel like you're getting more than you actually are. Because when you click play on a Lady Gaga album, there are really many songs that are just fine, just whatever, just a very ordinary sounding. And that was my thing with this album. Maybe it was expectations getting in the way, I don't really know, but like it's just like plain at times. It's just plain. It's particularly towards the end, like Blades of Grass, and those last few songs were just really ordinary, plain songs. And I just feel like it's aesthetics over substance with Gaga, because you get this with every album. She'll lead off with some really like strange and zany lead single. Stupid Love from Chromatica, good example of that. It sounded really like fun, it sounded bombastic, it sounded a bit strange, it had a bit of a weird video that came along with it. Then you click play on Chromatica and it's just some really standard dance pop tracks. Perfect Illusion, again, set Joanne up to be this kind of, this is going to be a bit weird. It's just a really standard kind of like country folky pop album with really basic lyrics. Like, I don't know, we need to have a serious conversation about Gaga, because I feel like she's always trying to sell you that she's this really artsy pop singer. She had a bloody album called Art Pop, for goddamn sake. And then the actual music, it sounds like anyone could make it. I don't know, man. I don't know. The first leg of the album was cool. It had some really unique ideas. But you get to a certain point and every track kind of starts to follow the same pattern, and all the choruses kind of sound the same. Like, it's just a bit odd. I don't know. There are some explosive bangers on here. I did like Garden of Eden. But yeah, I'll put it decent good, but tentatively. I might do a full review on the channel at some point and give you more full fleshed out thoughts. But I don't know, man. Something's just not really quite on that level that I think I expect it to be. And all of her stans and fans want you to believe it is as well. I feel like I'm being gaslit. Like, this isn't that exciting or unique, really. But I feel like we're led to believe it is really unique and exciting. And it almost never is for a full-length album. That's just how I feel. All right. Lil Baby. Oh, yeah, I'm just putting it straight and bad. Probably the best of the bads, though. I mean, every song just kind of sounds the same. I feel like every song from Lil Baby's entire discography is kind of just sounding the same. That might sound really dismissive, but I really don't see what there is to get out of a Lil Baby album. I struggle with Lil Baby heavily. The vocals are the same. You're not really getting bars on it, but still, they're not really stand out. Like, he isn't bringing to the table anything that all of his peers can provide at a much better level. You look at somebody like a Lucky, like does a similar vein of trap music way better. Lil Baby is just a weird anomaly for me. I don't know where the popularity really comes from. I don't get it. Okay, Lou Adrian Cassidy. Adrian Cassidy, that's probably how you say it, actually. Yeah, Lou Adrian Cassidy, French pop singer. Some really stunning moments on this album, man. The first track has this kind of like disco breakdown, but the most of the album is like, you know, in this chamber pop realm that's really, really beautiful and lovely. I really like her voice. Yeah, very impressed with this one. We got to talk about Mac Miller, and I didn't really want to have to do this one. But for me personally, right, Mac Miller, it's kind of like trying to be this like neo-soul atmospheric album, and it just like washes over me. There aren't any melodies that stand out. The songs meander like crazy as well. Like some of these songs go on for like 5-6 minutes, and it's just like there is no way you can tell me this needed to be this long. And yeah, I'm just not here for it at all. I feel like vocally he's always kind of never really impressed me that much. Even on his more like slower, sadder songs, I still feel like there's a tone to his voice that doesn't really stick with me very well. Yeah, I don't know, man. The lyrics at times, apart from like the personal and deep lyrics, some of these lyrics I think again are really corny. I just find this one a bit baffling, and I'm also still gonna say this, as I said the same thing for the Sophie album, but we're now at like multiple Mac Miller posthumous albums, and I'm sorry, but you will not convince me that these albums were left in a state that Mac Miller definitely wanted to release to the world. There is just no way you can convince me otherwise. There may have been some tracks he might have wanted to change. He might have wanted to take out the track list. He might have wanted to, you know, I don't know, record a new song and then put it on the track list. But unfortunately, he's not here to do that. So these releases, I'm not being convinced by Circles or this. These are probably my hottest takes, I guess, if you will, because those albums seem to have really high acclaim and high ratings on Rating Music, but neither of them I think are particularly that great. And I think this one is worse, so I'm going to put it in bad and then hopefully run into my bunker and wish that you didn't stick around on this video long enough to see that, because I know I'm going to get a lot of hate, but I'm just not seeing it, man. These songs are so empty. Even from like a neo-soul perspective, I could list out like 50 albums that are way more invigorating and, you know, musically more pleasing than this. I don't hear it. I just don't hear it. All right, now we got past that one. Let's piss off more people again and talk about Maruja, which I was really hyped for Maruja on their previous EP. It was on my year-end list for EPs in 2024. So go check out that video if you haven't already, because there were some really good EPs last year. But this one just like was doing the same thing again, but hitting the exact same notes, and each song basically did the exact same thing. I just couldn't pick out what they were doing differently from song to song. It just didn't stand out to me at all. So yeah, I just kind of didn't vibe with that one too much. Very big fan of what Mike was doing on this album. I'll probably put it at the bottom of the very good showbiz. Yeah, I really like what Mike's doing. I feel like his rapping ability is starting to become really appreciated, which is nice. He's very much an underground rapper that's starting to get a lot of love from all kinds of different places in the hip-hop world, which is really cool to see. There were some really great beats on this album. There was some really cool rapping performances. I had a lot. I got a lot out of it. Occlu. So I was heavily rooting for Occlu. And I thought Galore was really good, and I thought it was underrated. I thought way more people should check it out than they did. And of course now we get to the full-length album, and it's just not really landing again. I feel like there's something within me for this particular album that's just not fully immersed in it. Because I really like the ideas, the sounds, that kind of like, you know, cloud rap vibe in some of the songs, like very much like Blade. I mean, Blade is on this album, but like the Blade vibes and the Echo 2K vibes I get from some of these tracks is wild, because you weren't really getting that on Galore. but yeah, I was really like wanting to I was like forcing myself to love it because there was just something so cool about the atmosphere. But all of the songs are just so like hollow, and there's so little to latch onto. Her voice kind of just like fades into the background. I guess it's part of the vibe and everything, and that's the whole point. But like, I just struggled to latch on to anything. There were very like, some of the beats were just so minimal as well. Like there were just some like really like empty sounding tracks that I just thought just didn't quite click in my brain. So yeah, a bit of a shame, but I'm going to put it meh. I want to say it's amazing because I feel like it should be, but my brain just wasn't letting it be. It was a weird listen. Panda Bear, we're letting Panda Bear having a second run in his career because obviously, you know, Animal Collective and his album Person Pitch from the 2000s are very beloved. I'm a big fan of Animal Collective, by the way, in case you didn't already know. I think they're really cool. Yeah, and I want to, again, kind of like this album. It started to get a bit sunny in the UK, so I stuck this on when I was out and about in the sunshine yesterday. I was like, okay, maybe this listen will do it for me. Maybe this is the one where I absolutely love this album. And it just kind of washed over me. It's kind of vibey. It's got that psychedelic sunshiny sound, but really struggling to latch on to anything. I'm a bit surprised at the really rave reviews it's getting. I don't really hear what other people are hearing, which is sad. And yeah, some of it just kind of reminded me of the most recent MGMT album, which was a controversial review for me as well, where it just felt like it was like draining me. It was like draining me more than it was vibing me up. I felt like I was supposed to be like, ooh, yeah, I'm in the mood now. But it was draining me more than anything else. So I will put it in the meh tier, I'm afraid. Unfortunately so. Yeah, let's keep it up then. We're going to keep going with Pink Siifu, or Saifu, I think is how you say it. I thought it was cool. I thought, again, maybe ran on a little long. I think Pink Siifu needs to trim down his albums a little bit. But some really cool ideas, some really impressive vibes and, you know, sound shifts across track to track, which I was very impressed with. But yeah, just didn't really quite hit it for me, but I thought it was cool. Rebecca Black, I'm going to put this one in very good. I thought this was just straight up hyperpop bangers from start to end. Kind of feels like some people aren't quite aware that Rebecca Black is in fact making really good music now. But yeah, I was very impressed with this. Just really fun. Twist the Knife is just an anthem. Straight up pop anthem. Yeah, big fan of what she was doing here. Maybe a couple of tracks in the middle, because there's only like 7 tracks. So a couple of the tracks in the middle were a little bit weaker to me. And I feel like with 7 tracks, you've got no room to make a weak song. So it could have been higher, but I think it lands at a very good, very fairly. Richard Salis was very impressed with this one. It had some really cool like Heartland rock, chamber pop vibes that really like stood out and was just a really bold sounding album. The vibrancy in the instrumentals and the vocals were just really like huge and maximalist. I was very impressed with it. Completely unknown name that's kind of come out of nowhere really, but kind of the nice bonus or the benefits of releasing really early in the year, because there are enough music nerds out there that are absolutely desperate to find music. So if you drop something that early in the year that's that good, it will very much, you know, it very much has a good chance of standing out and getting people to listen to it. And I think he did a good job with that album. So yeah, very impressed. Rizzle Kicks. If you're from the UK, you will be so shocked to hear that name. These guys have been quiet for years. They had that little run in the early 2010s where they just dropped really silly, like really funny, daft little hip-hop bangers, but they weren't really like that good at rapping, honestly. Like they were just very silly, just relied on instrumental gimmicks and stuff like that. They had an Ollie Murs feature on one of their songs. Like these guys were just here for the fun time, you know. They were just here for a fun time. They weren't taking themselves too seriously. If I can compare them to anything, that maybe my US listeners or viewers could I kind of relate to, kind of see them as like the British B.O.B. You know, B.O.B. for its time wasn't doing anything major or massive or, you know, was particularly technically skilled or anything like that. But he just brought on features. He knew how to just have a good time. He knew how to just make a fun little tune that you probably won't listen to in 5 years' time, but you'll have the nostalgia for it, for when it came out. And I feel like these guys have that energy as well in the UK. And yeah, you know what? They dropped a decent album. I will say that. I thought they were pretty good. They showcased a little bit more of their rapping ability on this one. They had a Mick Jenkins feature, for God's sake. What the hell is Mick Jenkins doing on this album? I don't know. They showed a bit more of a serious side. I think they had DJ Premier on one of the beats as well. Like, they were really going for it and kind of showing you guys, like, hey guys, look, we are serious with our rapping, you know. Like, we're here to rap seriously. And I thought it was good. I thought it was well done. It's not the same kind of fun silliness of the early stuff, but I like that they took themselves a little bit more seriously here. Okay, Rose Grey. I was really liking this on first listen. Rose Grey's album was so fun, so bold. Again, really heavy on the production. Some really like standout choruses and hooks and stuff, but I listened to it more and more and it just lost a bit of that spark, and I started to notice some of the production qualities were a little bit annoying and a little bit irritating and a little bit too repetitive, and some of the songs started to sound a bit like awkward, and there was just something not quite right. So yeah, there are some really good things on this album, but also some tracks that just were not quite right. So I'm gonna keep her as one to watch. But for now, I do feel like the album could have been cleaned and tidied up in some places a bit better. Okay, Sam Fender, people watching, had a huge release in the UK with this one, like over 100k first week, which you're probably thinking that's not that much because in America, like, albums regularly do over 100k, but obviously don't forget it's a much smaller, you know, pool of people to be dealing with. The UK is a much smaller country than America, so doing that in first week for an album that's like not even like pop at all, not even an album that's like trendy in any kind of way, like he is straight up doing Bruce Springsteen Heartland rock 70s worship on this album, and I'm baffled at how successful he is, to be honest with you. He won some Brit Awards as well. He'll probably be a lock-in for favourites to win at the next Brits, because this album came out after the closing point for this year's Brits. So next year I'm sure he's going to do really well with the awards there too. So yeah, he's going to keep riding this wave for some time now, I would say. I think he's going to continually gain a lot of exposure and continue keeping this up. And I thought it was good. I thought it was really good. I saw some unsavory reviews. You know, Fantano gave it a 4 out of 10. I saw some people call it really boring. I thought it was really well done. I mean, it's not the most unique album in the world, like, you know, Gaslight Anthem, Gang of Youths. I've done this sound in a modern way better, I would say, because they're modern bands doing this Heartland rock throwback vibe, and I would argue they're doing it better than Sam Fender. But Sam Fender isn't that far behind, and he still put out a really good album. So yeah, I was really impressed with it. I don't know, I thought it was just really well done. It's kind of nice to see this kind of music resonating with people in the charts too. It's cool. We're going to run through the last leg of albums now, so stick around till the very end to see my thoughts on obviously The Weeknd that's coming up too, and these last 5 albums here. We're going to start off with Squid. Squid started off like so promising, man. So promising. I thought their first album was just really well executed. They had some really cool, strange ideas and just had these really explosive tracks. You know, Narrator, I still absolutely love. I love Narrator. And everything since has just been so dry, so bland, so lifeless, so full of just nothingness. Like, some of these tracks in this album, I couldn't even remember what they sounded like the minute they stopped. I was just so disappointed. And the first song I thought was really good. I was like, okay, let's go. And then it just nosedived, and I just find what they're doing now really, really uninteresting. It's not even that I dislike post-rock as a genre or as a sound. or anything like that. I just find the way they're approaching it really boring. Is like, for a better word, boring, I'm afraid. Yeah. Tate McRae. I talked about Tate McRae on a short review. So again, you know, some of these reviews are out there on the Not Real Music channel that you can access. So please do, because, you know, you can see more detailed thoughts than this video. But yeah, Tate McRae, wow. Got to be one of the most derivative, bland, like faceless pop stars right now. And I think pop is in a pretty good place. I think there's some really, really, really good top quality pop singers in the charts, particularly in the last year. You know, we had Sabrina, we had Chapel, we had Charlie having her huge moment as well. Like, we had so much to root for. We had so many exciting pop singers come out of nowhere, really, and just, you know, fight for the crown to be the next big thing. And Tate McRae is kind of coming around in that same time period as well, because, you know, she's had Greedy, which has been, you know, popular over the past year and a bit, and then obviously now she's dropped this album as well, and it's just like something's just not there. Like, she just isn't providing anything unique at all. The lyrics are really whatever. The performances, the nasally singing is just dire to listen to. The beats are just like carbon copied from other pop stars. Like, it's just completely bland in the worst way imaginable. I struggle to see what she's bringing to the table. Yeah, definitely one of the my least favorite pop singers in the charts at the moment. Do not get it at all. 256 Pi though, we're all here for 256 Pi. This is the Wonky Angle. Did a review on my channel for this as well, so make sure you check that out. The Wonky Angle does electronic reviews. I didn't even know he made music, I'm not going to lie. I kind of felt a little bit bad that I'd been following him for years. I didn't know he made music. But I saw he was promoting this one. I was like, no way, okay, let's check this out. Let's check what he's got out. I saw a freaking Give Me Monaco feature on the track list. I saw a friggin' Vale Smith feature on the track list. Are you kidding me? My boy Vale Smith, my boy Give Me Monaco. Love both those artists and have given them really positive reviews on this channel. So I was like, let me check this out. This guy might be serious, and he is serious. This was really good. Really, really, really stunning electronic production across this whole thing. Some really cool tracks that take you on some cool journeys, and yeah, just some really beautiful production at times as well. Like, loved it. This is currently my favorite album of the year. Notice, so I say that, and it hasn't gone in the album of the year contender. Personally, for me at this stage in 2025, I don't think there's really been an album of the year contender just yet. I think there's been some excellent albums that will be on my year-end list, no doubt, but yeah, there hasn't been that one album that has really stood out to me as being an album of the year contender just yet. So we'll not put anything there. We'll not jump the gun yet. But there might be some for you. So, you know, like I say, share yours and tell me what your list would look like, because I'm sure some of you would probably have Twigs in there. Some of you would probably have, I don't know, maybe even Lady Gaga in there. So yeah, would love to see yours. The Weeknd, yeah, is not going there. Whoa, he's not going there. He's not going there either. But yeah, The Weeknd giving us his final album in the Weeknd life journey, I guess. A lot of artists do say they're retiring and they're not going to continue putting out music and that kind of thing. But this one really does feel final. The way it kind of felt really like, you know, like cinematic. It felt really huge. It felt really grand. It felt like it had this end of the world feeling across the whole thing. And then, of course, the final track nicely ends and cycles back into the first song on House of Balloons. So it feels like the entire thing is very final. He is calling it there. And it just felt at times that some of the songs were really bland. Felt like some of the production was just a bit samey. Some of the features I thought were super weak as well, like that Travis, that Future feature, I just thought gave really very little. Yeah, it just didn't live up. I thought it was definitely the worst of the trilogy. It wasn't After Hours, and it certainly wasn't Dawn FM. But it was still good. It was still good. I still feel like it earns its spot in the decent good tier. It just felt like, because it's The Weeknd, and because nobody's making albums like this as well, by the way. Like, nobody's putting this effort into making these huge conceptual pieces and putting this much effort into narratives and the story and making a trilogy of albums like this. Like, you've got to hand it to him, but the actual quality of the music just dipped compared to the other two, which is a bit of a shame. So yeah, still good, but felt like I wanted more. And Venturing, the last album I'm going to mention here, this is Jane Remover. I thought some of these tracks were fantastic, man. Dead Forever, the first couple of tracks as well was so good. Really cool, unique sound that really pushed like the shoegaze elements and took them in different directions. And I ended up liking it more than the last Jane Remover album too. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing if Venturing continues, you know, as a side project for Jane Remover, because I was very happy with it. And that is it from me. We have talked a long time talking about these 30 albums, ranking them in a tier list. And yeah, let me know your thoughts on my tier list here. Would you like to share your own? Would you like to share your thoughts on my picks? Do you think my takes are terrible? Do you think my takes are an abomination to the world? Let me know. Thank you as always. Make sure you stick around for more content, subscribe, maybe even be generous and check out my Patreon, the membership page, if you'd like to. And yeah, please, as always, like the video, share it around, have a good day, of course. And what are you looking forward to in 2025? Is there any albums coming out that you're really excited for? Let me know. That's it from me today. Goodbye.